good man, guys. Good stuff. And honestly, don't just say, yeah, great, leave. Get his card, throw him a bone. Let's not just be takers, right? Let's say thank you and be givers. So, by the way, on your table, if you haven't seen his Results Faster by Tony Giri, he is the coach to the Fortune 500 CEOs in America. Like who? Oh, like AT&T, Goodyear, Coca-Cola Corporation, Disney Corporation. He coaches the CEOs. So we gave you a little booklet by him. Fantastic guy. Make sure you read that. Okay, we are on the home stretch. And I just talked to Don. He said we might get you out of here a little early. So we're doing good. He's going to talk to you about the secrets of the wealthiest people in the world and how they achieve their success. He's one of the most successful people I know. Help me welcome to the stage, Don Yoakum.
I am going to share with you what the most successful people do. And I just want you to think about what you've observed about them. Are they not also the most connected people? Right? So before I do that, though, I want to... Where do you want that mic? Right here? Okay. I just want to acknowledge Brent's message about the open houses. How many of you were sweating bullets over putting out 25 signs? So a few weeks ago, we had an event in Portland, Oregon, which is where I live. And it was called The Gift of the Shift. The speaker for that talk was Daniel Whistle. They are putting out 60 signs. Okay? Now, talk about successful people. Those two guys run two teams, and they both do over 200 million. So come on, they're doing over 400 million of business. Okay? Now, I'm going to put a little fire on that. They only do it for their first open house, right? So they make a big deal. Does my sound okay?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay. But what I notice is that the people that make a lot of money, they go big, they think big, and I just want you to be aware that when Brent's talking about doing 25 homes, that's a lot, okay? And there's people doing more. So just follow what those successful people do. And also, Marguerite put something up there that really resonated with me. Brent mentioned that I, very, very long ago, was a professional athlete. And so, Marguerite puts up on the screen what's the difference between being a professional and an amateur. Which I took a picture of. I did because I'm trying to mentor my son right now because he's aspiring to be a professional athlete, a water polo player. And so what I decided I'm going to do is I'm going to make a list for him. He's in Spain right now on what it would look like to show up as a water polo player as a professional versus as an amateur, right? So because Marguerite did that, I feel a little stronger connection to her because she's now has done something that is going to now trickle down to my son. And who knows, maybe it'll make the difference between him being an amateur and a professional. Yeah. Okay? And what I want you to think about that, and why I share it with you, is because when you have your communication with your sphere of influence, like Marguerite has suggested that you do, I want you to come from a place of being a professional resource. Don't just call them up to make a little chit-chat, establish rapport so you can, oh, by the way, that I want you to be of real value. Okay? So, my talk is on networking the way to success. One of the first things I want to point out about this style of business is your clients will be nice and they will tend to be more loyal. Do you have any loyalty issues with internet leads? Okay? So what I want to introduce you to is a way of doing business where the people will generally be kinder because will have come to you by referral, and they don't want to offend the relationship which that referral came, and they will also tend to be more loyal. So I love that on both counts. I also want you to consider the way that you're going to show up in this business. And I'm going to go further and say that if you don't show up this way, you may not be in this business in 5 years. Okay? I'm suggesting that you show up in a relationship-based way. The alternative is transactional. If your customer comes away from the deal feeling as though they were a number in your system, then you're doing business in a transactional way. They won't do business with you again, and they certainly won't refer you. The next point I want to share is about leading by example. Everybody's heard about you want to give in life what it is that you'd like to receive. Who wants a referral? Okay. All right, start by giving them. Before you embark on this professional referral approach, one of the things that I really want you to do is examine whether or not you're really a referral. Okay, so how do we determine that? Number one, do you show up on time? Sheldon Steele today was here 15 minutes early, right? Vince Lombardi time, right? And I know I've been several meetings with that gentleman, and he's never been late to a single meeting. So I know that if I were to refer an Elk Grove client to him, that he's going to show up. Okay? If someone that you know habitually shows up 10, 15 minutes late, are you going to be comfortable referring that person? Absolutely not. The next point is, do you do what you say? Everybody's heard, we want to under-promise and over-deliver. I would go further in telling you that people will do business with you if you do what you say, if you meet their expectations. They will continue doing business with you. Well, actually, to Marguerite's point, if you do stay in touch with them as well. They won't refer you, though, or it will be a great exception. In order to get referrals, you're going to have to exceed their expectations. As a matter of fact, you might want to write this down. I would say that your referrals will be in direct relationship to the amount that you exceed expectations. Next point is, can you be trusted? And the way that it's articulated here is, do you finish what you start? Are you a quitter? When the going gets tough, are you going to be there to solve the problems? You know, one of the great benefits that we have as a real estate industry is there's an incredible amount of friction in the transactions. Every transaction is unique. It's sometimes complicated, sometimes troublesome, there's issues with the property. And one of the things that we can be grateful for is that there are problems for us to solve. And what your referral source needs to know is that when those problems arise, that you're going to do whatever it takes to get it done, until it's done. Fourth point, do you say please and thank you? Marguerite talked about handwritten notes. One of my disciplines now is that I mail a card, usually with a book that's been inscribed once a week, to a friend or colleague. Okay, so it's just a practice that I do. How many of us appreciate getting a personalized handwritten note at home? Right? whatever the repetition is that you choose, I really just want to encourage you to choose something. And start small. Right now, I do occasionally more, but right now I've just committed to myself that I'm going to do 1 week. Okay? I know some people that do 3 a day. Do something. And just be sure that you're acknowledging people for what they're doing for you, and you'll find that that puts you in a place where you can be referable. All right, last point on referability. Are you the best at something? So I'm mentoring an agent in Portland, Oregon, and this guy's voicemail said, thank you for calling. I won't mention his name. I sell real estate in Oregon and Washington, and we represent commercial property, and we also can do international homes as well. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this guy is basically saying that he is not the best at anything. And therefore, in my mind, not referable. Okay, so in this area, sometimes I'll ask people, okay, well, what's an ideal customer for you? They'll tell me, well, somebody who wants to buy or sell in Sacramento, Placer County. How many agents are there in Sacramento, Placer County?
Sacramento 6,000, and Sacramento have 6,000.
Yes?
And Placer County, I don't know.
3 or 4?
I don't know.
Okay, so Sacramento, Placer County has somewhere between 8 and 10,000 agents. Okay, so if you're a specialist in Sacramento, Placer County, you are one of 8 to 10,000 people. Okay, that's not being the best. That's 8,000th place. Okay, one of the things that is counterintuitive but true is that the more that you focus, I think a geographic area is a fantastic way to do that. By the way, according to NAR, either the number 1 or number 2 reason why a consumer will choose you, I believe trust is actually number 1, but number 2 is local market knowledge. So, what I want you to be able to work on and articulate is when somebody asks you what it is or what would be an ideal referral for you, please don't say a buyer or seller in Sacramento, Placer County. Okay? Have a niche, be the best at something, because so few people do focus, it will be so easy for you to separate yourself from the crowd. All right. One of the great secrets of these wealthy people is that they are a connector. One of my dear friends, back row, Mary Lou Oates, of Orange Coast Title, who taught me a lot about doing business, is a great connector. I have...
No, he's also.
Oh, is he good connected too? All right. And you've got a Raven Finland. So, the thing about Mary Lou is that I have a hard time getting out of a meeting with her and having her not try to connect me to somebody that I can be of value to and they can be of value to me. Okay? So, what you want is you want to gain a reputation as being one of those people. And you want to be one of those people. Okay? What does it cost you to be a connector? There's no expense. There has to be a trust relationship there for sure. But it's an incredibly valuable thing. Marguerite was talking about calling a CPA. Do you know that the average CPA has 500 clients? Can anybody tell me how frequently people move in years?
Once every 10 years.
Once every 10 years. That's a pretty good guess. All right. So the CPA has 500 clients, And by the way, if they use a CPA, they probably own a home. People move every 10 years. You see how a CPA has a client listing their home for sale every single week, not counting income property and second homes. And if they own a home, there's a pretty good chance they're not going to go homeless after that. So in one CPA's book of business, there is about 100 transactions occurring per year. News alert, you're not going to get all those deals. Okay? But is anybody getting even 10 deals a year from a CPA? Okay? No hands. What I can tell you is if you train a CPA properly and you connect them to other referral sources, I do know of many people that get more than 6 deals a year from a CPA. Okay? And you could too. They're the most trusted real estate resource in our community that has the consumer as a customer. Okay? But a couple little things, just if you're going to now choose to go after CPAs, they have to want to grow their business. Otherwise, they will not be coachable, is what I have noticed. When you go to the CPA, have you noticed how they will ask you, did you buy or sell a home last year? Or it's on a little checklist. Now, that's great, and that enables them to file your taxes properly. How many people have a CPA that asks them if they are going to buy or sell a home in the coming tax year? Show of hands. Okay, do you notice how there's no hands going up? It's because 98% of the CPAs do not ask that question. Yet, if a CPA was going to do anything to mitigate your taxes, ought they know about that taxable event before it occurs? So it would be a good thing for them to do and to ask. But what you want is you want them to ask that question because you want them to bubble up a referral. Okay? So that's a good start. They want to grow their practice. You train them to ask the right question. And I'm here to tell you that they also have 12 real estate agents as clients. So how are you going to separate yourself from those other 11? You're going to connect them. You're going to ask them or her their best referral source. It's probably, by the way, a financial planner or an attorney. And you're going to ask them where they have a weak link. By the way, you're going to be asked to be introduced to their best referral source, and you're going to fill the weak link for them. Okay? What I've also noticed about the people that I've trained at professional networking, the ones that are the most successful, they end up creating their network as a quasi-mastermind. All of us have heard, read the book Think and Grow Rich, have a mastermind. What I'm here to tell you is that group is not enough to ask them for referrals. It's not enough to train them. You're going to have to meet with them with some regularity. Could be monthly or quarterly. It does not have to be breakfast every week, by the way. And other groups out there that do that. I think that's overkill. But you will need to mastermind with them at least quarterly. If you facilitate it, you'll be a bigger winner. Next thing is, you want to coordinate events with them. How many of us, if we went to our spheres of influence, could fill a movie theater with our clients? Not too many. Could you? I love it. That's impressive. So, for those of us mere mortals, I recommend you team up with these other affiliates, and I'm going to show you the ones to align with, to do events with them. Now, coincidentally, you're going to be the only realtor in the group. There's going to be 25 other professionals inviting people to this event. And by the way, it doesn't have to be the movie. It could be an event at the park. It could be an educational event. But the point is that you've got 25 professionals with about 200 people in their sphere of influence. That's 5,000 in total. And you're going to be the only realtor there. Some of their clients might be realtors, but you'll be the only professional in that group. Service. I told you a few moments ago that in order to get referrals, you are going to have to exceed expectations. What I said was, if you meet expectations, if you do what you think, people will continue to do business with you. That is not a high enough bar to get referrals. In order to get referrals, you are going to have to exceed expectations, and to the extent that you do, will determine how many that you receive. By the way, just a little side point on that. One of the things that you're going to encounter if you do adopt this practice is you're going to run into affiliates that are going to say, well, my role is to take care of your customers, and I'm going to do so with extraordinary service. What I'm here to tell you is, in a referral relationship, that is just the ante into the relationship. We are all showing up to the partnership and going to give extraordinary service. Okay? So that won't be enough, at least in my relationships, to do business. If they're not wanting to come from a place of contribution, if they're not wanting to grow, if they're not willing to ask the questions that are going to bubble up the referrals, then I'm going to find a new strategic partner that will. So they have to have the desire and the commitment. And they have to be able to ask that question. Now, I'm going to show you here in a moment, there are different questions for different professionals. The other point I do want to make before I go on to that is, there are certain situations where you can create opportunities to connect. Like I told you a moment ago, I can't get out of a meeting with Mary Lou without her trying to connect me with somebody, okay? But you don't always have the opportunity to see people or talk to them. So what else could you do? How about allowing that CPA to guest author an article in the newsletter that goes to your sphere of influence? Now what you've done is expose that CPA to your entire database, maybe to your farm if you're mailing it to that as well. And if that CPA is of the right mindset, he or she is then going to ask you to do the same. Or you're going to show them how you could by offering up an article, real estate related, that ties into some taxable event. All right, so how many people do we want in this network? We want 25 is the goal. And I'm going to give you the top 25 that you want. You want to make sure that these 25 professionals have at least 200 people in their database, which, by the way, what is it going to take for you to qualify to get in this group?
You gotta add 200, maybe.
You must have been a rocket scientist before this.
No, that's probably
All right. So you need to have a database, and it needs to have at least 200.
20 weeks.
So that will give your network 5,000 people. How many realtors are in this network? One. How frequently do people move in years? What'd you say, Matthew?
10 in California.
Let's use 10, be conservative. How many moves a year is that? Yes, it's 500. You're not going to get all those. No, I'll tell you about how many you can get. And I did tell you, by the way, that that's just the list side, right? I'm going to suggest to you that a reasonable capture rate is 10%. That is if you do everything I'm asking you to do in these 45 minutes. Because you're not likely to do that. If you just do 25% of this, you can add an extra deal a month. And actually, I'm going to show you how to preempt an objection that you're likely to encounter. So I was meeting with a CPA. I live in Oregon now, so I was meeting with him in Battleground, Washington. And he had two professionals he worked with in Washington that were competing with me. And I was introduced to this guy because I was told that this was one of those rare CPAs who was actually a really good professional networker. So I was all excited, but also knowing that I had two competitive peers in Washington, I also recognized that he would want to honor those relationships. So what did I do? I asked him, how many of your clients, well, first of all, do you do business in Oregon, which is where I live? And how many of your clients are there? He has 200 clients in Oregon. So that's 20 sales a year. That's not that bad. So I said to him, why don't you continue to honor your Washington-based relationships? And how about if you just introduce me to your folks in Oregon that would want to buy or sell a home? And he agreed to that. And I said, and by the way, I will introduce my Washington-based clients to you, but not my Oregon. And the reason why I chose to arrange it in that way is because he is in Washington. So I want it to be convenient for my clients, and I want to have a strategic relationship in Oregon. So one of the things that I'm doing in that relationship is I'm trying to figure out where I can be of value to him, and I'm setting expectations that we're both agreeable to, and he was. And that relationship's been great, and within 1 week, by the way, that guy also introduced me to a highly successful financial advisor. Oh, I had a realtor and lender up there. The reason why I did that was because of these 25 professionals, there are two different groups of professionals. There are what I call asset-based professionals, and there are home improvement professionals. So with an asset-based professional, I think of that as a CPA, a financial advisor, attorney, of which there are several different kinds that can refer you. I had an agent, by the way, in Colorado that got 13 referrals in 1 year from a bankruptcy attorney. Okay? So when you do this, I'm assuming I'm mostly talking to realtors here, my suggestion to you is to align with a lender that is network savvy, wants to grow, has the behavior characteristics of a connector, comes from a place of contribution, under promises, over delivers. Then you're going to task that lender with aligning the asset-based professionals, which are these: financial planner, And on the attorneys, it's bankruptcy, estate, probate, unfortunately, divorce is a really good one too. Statistically, I think something like 52% of the time that someone has a divorce, a home is sold. You, as the realtor, are going to line up the home improvement people. The way you figure out who you're going to align with is you're going to ask yourself, what are the trigger events for listing a home? One of the things that Brent mentioned at the beginning of our talk is we're going to teach you how to get more listings. How many of you have noticed in your normal sphere of influence communication that you get more buyer referrals than seller referrals? Is that it? True. It is. I'm here to tell you, if you train these affiliates properly, you're going to get listing referrals from them. Can anybody tell me what percentage of the time that someone is painting a home that they're preparing it for sale? What's a good guess?
25%.
25 is what I believe to be true. So why does somebody paint a home? There's 3 reasons. They're preparing it for sale, there's deferred maintenance, or they just bought it and they want to fix it up. So one could make the argument that 33% of the time that someone's painting a home, they're preparing it for sale. I say 25 because I want it to under promise for you, okay? Now, it's not enough to be in a referral relationship with a painter. By the way, how many of you in the last 12 months have gotten a listing referral from a painter? Okay. Do you see how you're not going to have a lot of competition in this regard? Okay, I was coaching an agent in Colorado. It was June, year to date. He had listed 3 homes from his painter. And the reason why is because he taught his painter to ask what prompted the person to paint their home. So, step 1, identify the professionals, and I'm giving you the list here, of that are trigger events for selling a home, and then train those people to ask the right question. If it is an asset-based professional, the question is, remember the CPA? Do you plan to buy or sell a home in the next tax year? If it is a home improvement professional, the question is, they ask what prompted you to paint your home. Because if you're going to sell it right away, we're going to certainly use a quality paint, but we may not want to choose the most expensive, and we're going to do a fine job, but we may not go to the same detail that we would if you tell us that you're going to be here for another 10 years. Okay, so if your painter said that to you, wouldn't you be thinking, gee, this painter's kind of got it going on, right? That's what the consumer is thinking. So just like the CPA should be asking that question, when you train these professionals to ask these questions, they are going to be held in a higher esteem by their clients. Okay, homeowners insurance. Those agents are notorious for asking referrals and not giving them. They will say to you that, gosh, I'd like to refer you, but I always find out about the deal right at the last minute. You ever heard that? All the time. Okay. So, a couple questions for the insurance person. How many households do you serve? You want to be in business aligned with someone that has 500 or more. Next question for them is, how many policies do you have in force? you're looking for someone that has a 2-to-1 or better ratio. The reason why that's an important question is because the higher the ratio reveals how relational they are. If they only have 1.25, 1.5 clients per household, they're not going deep in those relationships. They're a transactional agent. If you want to build a referral-based business, you can't be involved with transactional professionals. So, remember our math. If that insurance guy or gal has 500 clients, they have a client listing their home for sale every week. Do you know that the insurance professional is legally obligated to renew the policy every year? So they, unlike us realtors who often will not stay in touch, they're actually legally obligated to stay in touch. What you need to do is align yourself with a professional that calls a client for the renewal. Farmers Insurance has a term for it. They call it the Farmers Friendly Review. That is code for, I'm going to try to upsell you a policy when we renew yours. Is that not true? All right. Don't try to screw with their Farmers Friendly Review. All you need to do is just ask them to, after they've done their spiel, whatever it is that they do, they say this one thing, and that is, by the way, how are you liking your home? Are you settled in there a while? Which is code for, are you going to sell it this year? That's it. That's all they have to ask. Okay, now the other objection you're going to get from the insurance person, because they are really tough, is, well, yeah, but I've got, 12 realtors that I work with. By the way, in most cases, somewhere between 50 and 60% of the business is unattached. 40 to 50% is attached to a referral relationship. And so, preempt that objection by saying to them, and by the way, when you ask this question, you're definitely going to uncover referrals. If it happens to be tied to a relationship that is continuing, be sure to take it back to that person. I only want you to call me up with the opportunities for that 40% that is unattached. And know, just by the way, once you demonstrate that you're doing this, I'm going to start introducing you to other real estate professionals that are non-competitive with me. I'm a realtor. I'll introduce you to a few lenders, some that do over 100 transactions a year, and I'm going to let them know that this is a discipline that you practice. Would you like to grow your business? Okay? And that last little piece might be just enough to get them to do this. Property management, I don't know if you guys can read that all the way back, but number 10 is property management. Okay, so there's a trick little deal about these professionals. I was coaching an agent in El Dorado Hills one time. She's a very successful agent. And I said to her, hey, do you have a pool person, that does the pool resurfacing? And she goes, oh yeah, I've got a great pool guy. And I go, well, good. Okay, so I want you to train him to ask the question, what's prompting you to resurface the pool? Because, or why are you going to be canceling your pool service, right? And she goes, well, my pool guy is married to the top realtor in our town. And wait, Dana, actually, is her name. She's a sweetheart, so I'll say it. Dana, that guy's never going to refer you a deal for the rest of your life. Yeah, but it gives me 2 free pull services when I refer, so I can give those out to clients. So what does a cleaning go for, Dana? About $75. So that's $150 value. What's the average commission in your area? It's over 15,000. Okay? Do you see how that math doesn't really work? Okay? So when you're having this conversation with these affiliates, part of determining your alignment is you've got to ask the question, Dimitri, is there any reason why you can't refer me? Like, are you married to a realtor? Is your best friend a realtor? It's a simple, easy question, and a surprising number of times, because there's a lot of licensees in the state of California, they're going to say, well, as a matter of fact, hey, they're fired. No hard feelings, but you've got to align somebody with somebody that at least would have the possibility of referring you. Because you don't want the guy ending up on the couch. All right. So these were, there were 16 there, I guess. If you want the complete list of 25, I'm sorry, there's 16 home improvement people, and there's about 9 asset-based professionals, so that are 25. All right. One of the things that you heard me say a few minutes ago was you only want to do business with a home insurance person that is going to call their clients for the renewal. So that's one of the qualifying questions, right? Okay, so remember I said to you, you've got to lead by example. So it's not enough to have 200 people in your database. It's not enough to mail them something. In order for you to qualify to be in your own network, what you're going to need to do is call once a quarter. Okay, so there are about 200 working days in a quarter. There's actually about 250. So how many calls are we going to have to make in order to call once a quarter? It's 3 to 4 calls a day. Okay? It's not a big deal. By the way, only 1 or 2 of those people are actually going to answer the phone. This is not a big time commitment, but it does need to be something that is committed to and time blocked. When you are training your professionals to refer you, and I actually prefer the word introduce you, one of the things that, and this holds true for your sphere of influence as well, what you say to them is, I do not want you to be my salesperson, right? I want you to be my eyes and ears and identify needs that I may serve. Right? Because a lot of these professionals, particularly the home improvement professionals, they are not very good salespeople. So you don't want them to do that. But I'm going to tell you the big reason why, and I'm going to suggest you read a book here in a minute, is that if they do attempt to sell you, 50% of the time, the consumer is going to say, well, gee, Don, it sounds terrific, but I already know a realtor, and if that doesn't work out, I'd be happy to talk with Don. 25% of the time, they're going to say, boy, Don sounds great, give me his information, you will, and they won't call. How many of us have had somebody say, hey, did you get a call from John Doe? You know that guy that was going to list a $500,000 home in Folsom? Has anyone ever had that communication?
Yeah.
Right? And it's extremely frustrating. And it's not, by the way, because that person that took that information was intentional in deciding not to call. It's because the average consumer engages with 14 realtors in the process of buying a home. They're everywhere. Okay? And so they ran into a realtor before they called you. So you're out of luck. So you want them to be your eyes and ears, call you, hey Dimitri, I was meeting with the Joneses, I'm painting a home, they're moving to San Diego, would you please give them a call, tell them that you have Don Yoakum as a mutual acquaintance, and that you promised me that you would call them. That's a phrase you want to write down. We have a mutual acquaintance in Don Yoakum. I promised Don I would give you a call. Does that not sound like you're going to be coming from a place of service, that you are doing Don a favor? Okay? If it is done in that way, you're not going to get all the deals. But you're going to get the back 100% of the time. Now, if you reach the person and they say, well, I already know a realtor, whoever it is, you're going to say, well, that's wonderful. Don just wanted to make sure that you were being taken care of. As a matter of fact, I know Marguerite. She is amazing, and I'm sure she's going to do a great job for you. You ever violate that, it will get back to the person, and you will lose that referral source. Marguerite talked about the personalized handwritten notes. I hope that you got the point that I second that. I talked to you about the client appreciation events, the mastermind. Here's another thing worth writing down. You will be judged by the quality of questions that you ask. So, what you're looking for your professionals to do is ask one of two questions. To refresh, the asset-based professional question is, are you going to buy or sell a home in the coming year? Different professionals are going to ask it. I've taught you how to train a CPA and a home insurance person. But basically, the premise is they're going to ask if they're going to buy or sell in the coming year. The question for the home improvement professional is, what has prompted you to fill in the blank? Okay, so what is a trigger event most likely to be a precursor to listing a home? I told you painting. What's another one? Landscaping. What's another one? Canceling pool service or resurfacing the pool. Okay, another one? Junk removal. Yeah, absolutely.
Carpet.
How about flooring?
Yeah.
Roofing? Light remodeling? Cancel pest control. By the way, do you know those guys that spray? You know, they come spray every 90 days so that the bugs stay away. Yes. I've talked to a few of those guys. Do you know how many people the average person sprays? They do 400. No, quarter. Okay. So my point is, remember our math? I actually had lunch at a Chipotle with an owner of a pest company, and I go, well, when people call in to cancel their service, do you ask them why? And of course, as an owner, he usually does, but as an owner, he doesn't usually answer the phone. I go, but could you train that person to ask that question? Really easy. And actually, it might be informative to them in other ways as well. This is a book, I still think, the absolute best book on professional referrals. I encourage you to get it. It's by Bob Burke. He is the gentleman that taught me the way that you want to be introduced. There's a process there. And that's where I learned the 4 referrals turn into 1 if you have them trying to sell you. All right, my closing thought. Britt, and especially Marguerite, alluded to you that we are approaching the end of this real estate cycle. Some of us have been through a few of those cycles. Some of you have never seen a real correction. I'm here to tell you that there's going to be a correction. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. I'm also here to tell you that this correction is going to be different. I don't think it will be as severe as the 2008 crash. I do think that these coming years will be as challenging, if not more so, for the real estate professionals than the 2008 crash. And the reason why is because we're not only going to have a correction, but we have an infiltration of technology and AI in the future that is going to automate processes, cause commission compression. And so, if you do not choose a relationship-based approach to your business, and you play to the hand of the technology companies and do business in a transactional way, you are not likely to be part of our real estate community in 5 years. Okay? Now, the good news is there will be a lot less realtors in 5 years. So you're going to have a lot less competition. And I'm here to suggest that those left standing are going to be the ones that under-promised, over-delivered, showed up on time, said please and thank you, and did business in a relationship-based way. So that's my closing thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic, Don. Thank you. Wow, was that good stuff?
Yeah.
We were back there talking like he's an absolute tactician, man. He's just coming and he's just not thinking about it. I love it. Spend time to work on your business, not just in it. You guys did that today. I applaud all of you. I'm preaching to the choir. A bunch of us are coming to the Lazy Dog restaurant in the parking lot. It's huge. You want to grab some food and hang out for 30, 40 minutes if you're hungry. Also at 2 o'clock today in Guild Mortgage, I'm doing a lunch and learn, so lunch is provided there as well at 2 o'clock. It's in an hour and 10 minutes. Wait, what time is it?
At 12:48.
No, I didn't move my watch ahead an hour. I'm back an hour ago. Wow, we got out early. This is good. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Marguerite. That was awesome. Also, James, what is the date in April 25th? Okay, here we go. This is technology. We brought in the #1 guy in the country from KB Core. It's costing us thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for this event. It's going to be April 9th through the 12th. We are not charging you. You can come for free. We'll probably spend $5,000 to $8,000 on airplanes, hotels, his fees. It is going to be April 25th, one day, 9 to noon. It's going to be here in this room. This guy is the tech lead generation guy. They have thousands of agents across America that pay that company $600 a month on one-year contracts. And we make this website available, this platform for $50 a month, no contract. He's going to teach you how to generate leads using the future of AI and bots and everything. It's a big, big, big deal. So you're gonna get to sign up for this. I'm sure we'll send out an Eventbrite. The room will be packed and lined around the corners. This is huge. This is the future. Don't miss it. April 25th, 9 to noon, right here in this room. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.